working on a track, we can easily get lost in trying to perfect the main elements in our track. However, there are certain parts of the arrangement that often get overlooked. That part is the transitions in your song that connect the different sections of your track. While the transitions aren't a main part of your song, they are what tie the entire track together and add that extra bit of professional polish. You can easily tell an amateur track from a professional track just by listening to the transitions. My name is Daniel with Envato Tuts. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can easily add transitions to your track in Ableton 10 to tie your song together. So let's get into the DAW. So I have here a basic structure of a song with a verse and a build, and we're going to create a transition from the verse to the build by using a few simple techniques to show you that you can make transitions very easily with just a little bit of detail work. Let's have a listen to our verse and build first so we understand what we're working with. So you can hear the transition from the verse to the build is a little rough and doesn't quite give the interest that we want and tie the song together enough to give it that professional polish. So the first technique that I like to use for transitions is a very simple one, and that is just using high cut filtering and low cut filtering to create tonal interest. So let's go into our bass sound here and add in our automation. We'll go ahead and use our high cut filtering. And we'll click A on our keyboard to open up the automation. And then once we get into this transition, we'll do it about half a bar away from the build section, and we'll ramp down the high frequencies to around 481 Hertz. Let's have a listen to this. So you can hear it gives a little more dynamic interest by taking away the frequencies in the high end of the spectrum of the bass. Next, to create even more interest, we can go ahead and add in some other simple effects, such as ping pong delay, or any type of delay sound. And we're gonna go ahead and put this on the plucks and have it delay out into the build here. So let's have a listen to our plucks. So we want that to delay out into the build to create a nice transition and have it smoothly go into the build. So we'll add the ping pong delay, turn the dry wet down to 0, and go ahead and draw in our automation. Have it be around 45%. We'll bring this back so it comes in a little bit before a bar, before the start of the build. Let's have a listen to that. So a nice little tail. Let's have a listen to that in the mix. So that comes together nicely there. Next, we can go ahead and add a reverb to this. We can go ahead and add a reverb to our other pluck sound here. Let's have a listen to our pluck sound without it first. So we want this to kind of wash away as it goes into the build. So go ahead and add the dry wet in, have it kind of ramp up. We'll start it even sooner here. Have it ramp up to around 65%. Turn it back on. Turn up the decay time so the length of the reverb will carry on. So instead of a very short one that decays off quickly as the build starts, we'll have it decay out longer. And again, this is to show you guys how very simple automation of basic effects in your DAW can easily add in these transitions. So far we used the auto filter, ping pong delay, and now we're doing the reverb. So let's have a listen to this in the mix now. And we want the tail to be a little bit longer still. So what we can do is to go ahead and automate this decay time as well. Automate it as it gets closer to the buildup, and we'll do about a 7.7 milliseconds. Let's have a listen. There we go, and let's have a listen to it with everything playing. Again, adding to the very smooth transition that we have. Now, another common technique of creating transitions is simply taking away elements when the transition is about to happen. So if you listen, we have drums still playing here right before our build section. And we can simply take these away a bar or so before the build section hits to signal to the listener that a new section is coming. So let's remove these. And now let's have a listen. So there's a nice little pause there before the claps start again in the build, which helps create that dynamic interest that you need. And to help with the transition even more, we can go ahead and go into our clap sample, copy it over, and reverse this element. On your keyboard, all you have to do is press the R button, and this will reverse the clap sample, and we'll put a little fade on it. That way there is a little bit of a sucking sound going into the build section, and will help carry the momentum into it. So I've listened to just these claps right here. It's very subtle, but it'll definitely be picked up by the listener subconsciously and help with the transition. So let's have a listen. And then to put the finishing touches on the transition, we're going to go ahead and add in some white noise. Now, any synthesizer that has a white noise output will work here. I'm going to use Ableton's operator. So we'll load up operator and change the wave to noise white. Create a MIDI note to add to the transition here. Make it a little bit longer. And we'll add in a MIDI note and extend it the entire length of the clip. And then we'll add in an auto filter. Again, another very simple effect. And bring it down. Click A on your keyboard to open up the automation. And we'll want the white noise to swell up and have more high frequencies come in as it gets closer to the build. And once it hits the build, it'll climax. And then we will bring the filter back down, taking away the high frequencies and creating that lush sweep that we want. So we'll go ahead and raise it up here. We'll go around 9 kilohertz and then slowly bring it down. Go ahead and decrease the volume. Let's have a listen to this. Here it's just plain white noise. If we just go ahead and solo it without the filter. Now with the filter. So a nice little swoosh there. And to add a little space to this, we'll just throw on a reverb, bring up the dry wet, bring up the decay time to 3 seconds there, just to add more width and space to this effect. And now let's listen to it with the track playing. So you can see by automating very simple effects such as your auto filter, your reverb, your delay, and by taking out elements when going into a transition and choosing any synthesizer that has a white noise output and automating a sweep with the filter, you can create seamless transitions in your song and give it the professional polish that it deserves.